What's up, my peeps? So you ever wonder what is your vision for life? Or is there such thing, do I need to have a vision for life? And if you have one, is it clear? Do you actually know what it means? Or is it something that someone else has given you? Or is it something that you decided to design for yourself? So those are the topics we're going to talk about here with my boy Joe Stauffacher in the house. Happy to be rolling through Austin, of course, not too far from here. So when he gets in town, he comes, kicks it with us for a little while. And so we're just going to have a little conversation about that. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Calvin?
How you feeling?
Thanks for having me. I'm feeling good, man. Feeling good.
Good that you're feeling good. I'm feeling good because you're feeling good.
Well, that's good.
So
mirror neurons.
Yeah, exactly. So we might get a little. I'm the one with the darker tan. If you get a little confused along the way, he's got a little longer hair. So if you get a little confused, I know what happens with my twin Chad sometimes. But sometimes Joe and I can get a little messed up too as well. So mixed up in there. So if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe and share it. All the YouTube things that you need to do out there and help us grow. And we have more good, cool things coming up in the future too as well. So when we talk about vision, Joe, what is your definition of vision and why is it important to have a clear vision?
Well, it's a great question.
It is.
And it's one that, on my 15-year journey of personal growth, it's the first thing that everybody tells you.
Yeah.
Vision, 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 vision. So it's like, what's my vision? What's my vision? And it's something that I've spun with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But at the same time, there's just that importance that I've learned over time that it drives you towards your identity.
Okay.
So once you kind of can get clear on your vision, then you can get a little bit more clear about your identity. So then you can show up inside of your vision. So that's my kind of thoughts on vision originally like that.
Okay. Pretty simple there. It seems obviously more easy. I just realized I don't have my glasses. I'm like, why am I like really squeezing and squinting to get to this? Yeah, I don't have my glasses on. I left them at home. So you're gonna have to do all the vision. On the one you have a vision video. Of course, I don't have my glasses, so my vision is blurry, which is a good analogy, I guess, when it comes down to not having clear vision. Obviously not talking about in the natural itself. We're looking at spiritually, we're looking at emotionally, we're looking at where am I going? It's kind of if it's foggy out, it's harder to drive. You have to take your time and pay attention to what's going on versus if it's clear. If the skies are clear, you can actually go at a good pace. So, there are distractions. And I kind of talked about before, most folks are living a life by default versus by a life by design. And I truly believe that God gives you cues. He gives you clues about your gifts and the people you enjoy serving, the people that light you up when you serve, and actually you can give them a good transformation or give them a good output when it comes down to the things that you do. And so part of that kind of shapes the vision a little bit too as well. And then you talk about identity, which is one of my biggest topics: purpose, identity, fulfillment, all those kind of things itself. But when it comes down to you've done this work on vision itself. For you personally, how did yours? Does it change? Does it grow? Does it morph over time, or does it kind of stay stagnant along the way?
For myself, I found, and one of the leadership events along the way, you just kind of start to figure out a little bit more of this stuff. So at one point in time, it just really hit me that I want to help ethical, ecological, and empathetic businesses.
Wait, what is that? Okay, you just gave us a whole lot of words, big words, Joe. So break that down. What does that mean?
I see the politics of our world.
Okay.
And I grew up with people on the right and people on the left, and good people on the right, good people on the left. I just didn't see the problem that people had. And as a finance major in college, started to look at the business financial systems a little bit differently. Is it efficient? Is it efficacy there? Or, are the people, do you even know what to do to make your investment to get what you want out of it?
Okay.
So like, as a society, we lack a common vision to say, hey, we're going to achieve this goal. We just get mad and argue with one another over the TV. Right. So this, just kind of seeing these different things inside the systems, that I related to the world being like an ant farm. So if we were to look at the world from outer space, the humans were the ants that are just moving all around if you were looking at an ant farm, right?
Right.
So if we tweak what we do and how we spend our money and the actions that we take and the businesses that we put our money into, the world from outer space can look completely different relatively quickly.
Right.
I mean, humans are we're like little ants.
Yeah. Follow the system. You kind of talk about the Matrix, and most people look at the Matrix as being a real life movie. Regards to we just kind of, this is the way we go to school. This is the way we go to work. This is the path. This is the way we do it. And sometimes we have to, like, as you say, kind of choose a different path.
Yeah.
Instead of just going in line with, this is what ants do. This is how we do this, or this is what my political party does. This is what my race or nationality does. This is what people from my socioeconomical status do. Instead of saying, am I going to continue to repeat the patterns? A new vision, that grows and changes along the way, it probably puts us more into the area of what we're divinely called to do versus the system.
So that's kind of what I discovered over the time, was that it's like this longing desire that just doesn't go away. Right. So ever since I had that moment, even though I struggled finding different clarity moments around what my vision was, like that deeper longing has just never gone away. Right.
That's good.
So to me, when people struggle with the vision, it's like, well, are you listening to your heart, or are you feeling struggle inside of your heart that's fighting you at some level on your everyday life? Like you're waking up and you're going to work, and you're waking up and you're going to work, and you're doing the things that you just kind of said become the patterns of our lives, right? So if there's just this deeper longing that's on your heart, then there's probably an aspect where you're not living in full clarity with your vision.
It's good.
In terms of why you chose to have that message on your heart and show up in this three-dimensional world.
I think it's really key what you said there, is recognizing some things you just can't suppress. You can't subdue. You can't get rid of these pulls, these emotional pulls and callings that we may say, well, who am I? Many people in the Bible, you look at Moses, you look at Gideon. Well, who am I to be the person to lead? I'm not worthy. I don't have the quality. I don't come from the right bloodline to do this particular thing. But some stuff you just can't ignore because it keeps coming back. It may be, at days, weeks, months, years at a time, but you just keep getting this yearning, like, I'm supposed to do something here. Like it does, like you said, it didn't die. It doesn't go away. And so you can't run away from some of those things that are part of your destiny that we need to pay attention to. Doesn't matter what the situation looks right in front of you. And that's what we're talking about today. We walk by faith and not by sight. There's a part where what we see in front of us, the eyes tell lies. Because what we see right now, we look around, we don't see oxygen going around, but it's there. We won't see carbon, monoxide going around, but it could be there. What we don't see can make, is one of the biggest things. So it's about having faith in a vision, having clarity of where I'm going to go. So I see a vision, but I have to walk by faith to get there. I'm not going to see every step along the way. I'm not going to see the obstacles that come along the way, the shortcomings, the failures along the way, but it's all part of the vision. And so, like you said, there's some things we just can't get away from. Like I realize for me, when we're looking at like your purpose, there's certain things that you just can't not do. Like, Joe and I both coaches, he focuses, we're both mindset coaches. He focuses a lot on neurology, gut health, holistic healing. There's some, areas obviously on the fitness side that I bring into it, but there's still a part where we cannot not have coaching conversations. It's a gift. And so it's hard for us to like pump the brakes. Like, I just want to coach you to succeed. I'm right there. I see what's going on. And, and we have to kind of pump our brakes on some of those situations, but we know we're supposed to have coaching conversations or leadership conversations, however you want to frame it. You hang around me long enough, you're going to get this Jesus. And we're going to find out, you're going to get this Jesus, and you're going to get some kind of way to help you better yourself. And I've gotten better in maturity where asking for permission to coach. May I coach you? Because people don't want change. They'll go against that too. So you see that a little bit?
I definitely have struggled with that one as well. Like, would you like some feedback?
Yeah.
Are you open to some feedback?
Yeah.
Definitely some language I've had to learn. Because sometimes you just get excited about what you know.
Yes.
And you recognize that someone else is like missing this piece.
Mm-hmm.
And you just are like, well, I'm kind of not cool person.
Right.
I don't like share this knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like sometimes it's a struggle where it's just like blah. Absolutely. But so the vision piece of it though, to bring us back to that, like that longing for me, that just kind of kept me, that just didn't go away. So even though, the conscious knows, I've read the books, I've gone to the seminars, like I know this vision thing matters, but it's also what just kept pulling me forward, finding that identity, helping me find that clarity about who do I really need to continue to be, and how can I keep having these conversations so that I can move myself closer, into that full alignment.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And something you said is the vision pulls you towards it. So when you get clarity and it's out there, the vision is clear, it pulls you towards the vision because your identity is saying, I got to change my identity and adapt to become a new person of who that person is in the future. So it's not about, I've got to force my way towards it. It's more of a natural flow because now it's clear, setting a GPS. We're going to take a ride into Austin a little bit later. And if I didn't know where I was going, I'll set the GPS. We're going towards that destination. The destination is the goal. So I'm moving towards there. My vehicle, everything, my mindset, my turns, and all that's going to be determined according to where I want to go. So once again, having clarity of vision. If somebody say, "Hey, meet me somewhere in Austin," that's going to be a problem. Versus meet me at this location, at this part of it, and that's part of what we learn even through our mindset coaches. Big shout out to Brian and Kerry, who taught us most of the stuff that we know when it comes down to the mindset side of things. And, it is that. It's the pulling the vision. Now, another component that we learn there is your vision and your core values. Those are two things that we kind of utilize to as guideposts, is the things that when we make this decisions, it's made according to those particular things, your vision and core values. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Yeah. It kind of sets your morality and your integrity a little bit, right? Like once you know what those principles are and who you're going to be, they're the guideposts, as you alluded to. It said, getting real clear on what that looks like. So if you wake up in the morning and you know what you're going to go do, we're going to go to Austin, but it's just, what are those little things that are going to happen throughout the day with how you're going to communicate with people that matter to you, that can show up? Like, where's those common sticking points in conversations and aspects that just kind of draw us all together? Right. I guess I found principles and core values for me was kind of a struggle at first. Digging in, because you just come up with all of these different fun and adjectives, and you're really trying to describe yourself, right? Yeah. Like you're trying to figure all these things out, and you give yourself all these cool titles because you're wordsmithing and you're finding this. And so to me, I found a little bit of struggle with core values and principles and that morality side of it. Not the morality side of it, I guess, much, but
the right alignment, the words, the titles, the particular things, don't overcomplicate it, but how do I simplify what those things are that really encapsulate who you are as a person, identity, once again, and where you want to go.
And you saved me right there, because I was going to overcomplicate it some
more. And so if I look at two of my simple ones, like Carrie, like I said, what our coach is, she one of hers is him, happiness, impact, and mastery. And I love that. And then she says him also, because I give it to him, give it to God. And so that part is like, I'm gonna steal that. But for me, I made a slight tweak of that, because for me, joy is a stronger word for me. I use joy a lot of times. It's biblical. It's more long lasting. Joy is in the midst of the things. So for me, joy stuck more. So I use mine as Jim. Now, I don't know any guy named Jim. I know some Jims, and buddy Jim Bird was just on a call with us yesterday. But for me, it's just an acronym. Joy, impact, and mastery. So for me, as a core value, is it going to bring me joy, and is it going to allow me to bring joy to others? So I use it as a filter. Is it going to be impactful for the kingdom of God, impactful for my family, impactful for my finances, my body, and where I want to go? So is this going to be an impactful thing? And then mastery is it going to work towards the mastery of who I'm called to be, the mastery of my identity, mastery of my skill set? And so if I look at those things, I can quickly say yes, 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 or yes, no, nope, then I don't do it. It has to line in that. So I use it as, you can use the core values as a filter. And so something simple, at our business, I've run two different businesses, and my DNA is in each and every one of them, of course. So there's a crossover in what those look like, but it's different for the fitness studio, different for the Lionheart, but there's a core element of who I am as an individual. And the other one on top of that I stole from one of my friends, Justin, is have faith, take action. That, have faith, take action. I'm really good at the faith part. I'm not the best at the action part. I'm a visionary, as we're talking about vision. The book Rocket Fuel talks about somebody who's a implementer and who's the visionary. You hear about the visionary many times, the Steve Jobs, but you don't hear about Steve Wozniak was the guy who can get it done. But the visionary sees it, and I got ideas and thoughts, and so the execution part is where I know I'm not the best at. And so those are the things I need to know. To have faith, okay, yes, and take action. There's a combination, a 1-2 punch there. And I'll say the third one for me is be all of me. And all is an acronym, is an authentic, lion-hearted leader. So that's just kind of like me as an individual. Am I stepping up into that? And something you said earlier, like, we know when we talk about morning routines and evening and night routines and whatnot, and I look at what we had to do today. We know, okay, so we're gonna film this today. We're gonna go to Austin. So I'm thinking about how do I want to show up. Now, my night of sleep was a little elusive, so it got a little later in far as me getting this information out to y'all. So some of y'all ain't catch it live. That's my bad. But how do I want to show up? I know what the meaning. What do I want to wear? How do I want to feel? What socks do I want to wear? What shoes? So some of that is already going in the thought process, because how I want to show up in this environment here. How do I want to show up later? I got to think about the heat. I'm not going to wear, the vision of being in Texas in the summertime is not wear a parka. So, we can see the simple things of that, like how do I want to show up? What do I want to wear? But it's even more like how do I want to show up emotionally or energetically?
Yeah. I mean, and right now for me, one of my favorite ones is nothing to prove, nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Or nothing to hide, nothing to prove.
Yeah. So you had a post about it.
Prove.
So what is that?
It's just showing up and being able to sit across from someone and have them have all of their feelings without me needing to push whatever it is that I might be feeling to feel comfortable about the situation back into that. Right. So as we talked about earlier, where you see something and it's like, this person's got this thing going on and I have this knowledge, and it's like, I want to blonde, throw it up and tell them all about it. But at the same time, like, I don't need to prove anything.
Yeah.
Right. And that was, that's something that we talked about. I struggled with. Right.
Yeah.
So
the awareness of it.
So that's where that one right now for me is top of mind.
Okay. Right. And how long have you been kind of encapsulate that idea?
It probably goes back a little bit further than I would give it credit to for the unconscious. It came into my awareness probably 6 months ago. And now it's only been more in the last few weeks where I've been really much more aware of it. Yesterday we were on a call where it really hammered me over the head of, hey, this is what's going on. Sunday it hammered me over the head. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
Different life events can divine timing.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Divine timing and seasons. I think about there are seasons in your life where a vision is required for that time. There was a time where I subscribed to the hustle and grind. Hustle 24/7. Sleep is the cousin of death. I sleep when I die. Go hard or go home. And I was like, no, go hard, and I could go home. So it's more of an abundant kind of look at it, but it wasn't as much the force. It's more, I look for more flow in my life. But it was a time where some of that was needed because I was launching business. I was starting my studio. So that was part of the energy that was necessary at the time. Like for me, I don't want to work that hard. I want to work smarter. I want to leverage. I'm looking for the leverage. Where's the leverage in this particular situation? Who can I hire? Who can I bring on? What minds can actually, collapse time for me, or what systems and people that I can delegate some of these things out, where my business owned me for the first 7 years. I didn't know, and I had to change that role and learn how to own businesses. A lot of times we get into, I'm a coach, so I'm a coach and I can just open up a coaching business. But do you know how to be a CEO? Do you know how to manage people and lead teams? And some of those things I didn't know until I had one of my mentors who taught me business, who taught me how to become a CEO. That was in John Kemper, and he taught me those particular things itself. So once again, in that season, it was necessary for me to be a little bit of a hustle and grind guy. But I look at it now, grinding down. It's grinding down. You think of what that looks like, and I don't want to be ground down in anything else. I got enough issues for me to be grinding in anything. So more about me is hustling, not even a hustle part. I don't want to hustle in anything. So it's more about growth. It's more about flow, and it's more about fulfillment in where I'm at in my life. So there's, I think, like I said, there's parts in where it wouldn't serve me now, but that vision did serve me for where I was in that launch phase of business.
Well, it's interesting you describe it like that, because my own experience with hustle and grind, years, got to figure this out. You got to make it happen, right? Figure it out, make it happen. But you're not sitting in it, right? Like, you're not sitting in your vision. You're not sitting in your identity. You're not allowing that vibration to grow, because you're one of my mentors, Jesse, he likes to call it premature. Some things happen a little early, right?
Premature release. We talking men here. We talking to mostly men, so you get it.
So you just get these ideas, and you just got to keep hustling. You got to keep grinding, and it's like you sat there for 2 seconds, and the idea popped. I can do this. So you get up to go do it, and that's where he's like, "No, you just disappointed her, fellas. You disappointed her.
Yeah,
like,
sorry.
sit there, think about it."
Yeah.
Like, really, like, feel, if you get up and go do that, what's going to happen because you got up and went and did that? How is what you're about to get up and do, how is it connected to your vision? How's it connected to your identity? How do you see the values and principles that are part of your life in what it is that you're about to do?
That's good.
And when you can really just feel and sit in that, we're not taught that in society. Society is the hustle and grind, right? It's like, get up, get after it, go, 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 go. And, in the coaching industry, everybody is like, meditate, 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 meditate.
Yeah.
But what are we doing during that meditation? Well, there are all these people who teach these different meditation styles, which is good, because there's all these people that have different reasons that they struggle with the meditation. But through there's just that evolution, knowing what I know about neurology, there's going to be a link to neurology that also has people struggling within the different levels of meditation. And the different types of meditation are going to give you a different response within your body. One's going to feel more comfortable than another.
Right.
Some people can just sit in silence. Other people have to put on the music in order to do a type of meditation.
Some people need to walk. Some people need to be in one position, be in a certain area, all those different things. Some folks are a little more flowy into it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, that's what my biggest takeaway from the hustle and grind side of it, and figuring that things out, and knowing my vision, and then figuring out my identity, is how do you sit in those moments more so that you become more of who you believe yourself to be.
Good. If you guys, I see some of you guys are watching live. If you have questions, comments, please drop them in there. We go do our best to interact with you live here if you're there, and of course we come back later on for replays and things of that sort. But something a quote came up for me as you were talking about that, about jumping into the thing immediately instead of like letting it finish. Sometimes we jump out of the oven half baked versus going to like seeing it through. And there's a quote by Robert Brault that says, "We're kept from our goal not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal." And I've seen that so many. Once again, I'm a visionary. I can see that so many times. Like, oh, but what if I do this? And it's like, let me go over here instead of sticking to the vision. And once again, if you're clear about that, those lesser goals. So sometimes it seems that lesser goal is exciting. And it seems like, it's a quick hit. It's a dopamine hit. And I can just jump into that and do that. And maybe I can produce a little bit of money. I can produce a little bit of impact. But it's not, it's deterring me away from the big vision, the greater vision that might say, no, that's either a no, a not now, or let me revisit it later, versus saying this is the biggest thing. To kind of say you're stepping over dollars to get to dimes. And in a lot of those situations, we got to be careful, because here's the vision. If the vision says this is the way to go, I'm clear about it. I know I don't have to. This is the thing right now. Seems great, but you have to also look at this. Seems like a good thing, but a good thing may not be a great thing or a God thing. It might not be in, as you talked about, divine timing earlier. Divine timing is key. So there may be an awesome, amazing thing that you can do, but it may not be. You may not be ready for that until you do thus, thus, and thus before you get there. These things are necessary for you to do that massively later on. So,
but believe me, I felt more than ready to do it a long time ago.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you and I both. So Joe's he's so creative and got ideas, can do so many different things. I'm glad I could do like 2 things awesome. That's it. I don't have to be distracted so much about that. But I just want to do those 2 things in all these different ways and different settings and all that. But when you're creative, Joe's definitely more of a creative mind, and all these things and skill sets, you want to use it all. And so sometimes when you can get, as you're saying, you can kind of get distracted by this part. So we want to say that, yes, there's things we need to wait, but we also to make sure there's things that we're not wasting time by meandering and going back and forth and not being clear, because once again, like I said, having faith but not taking action, you're supposed to be a doer of the word, not just a hearer only. You're deceiving yourself. That's what the word says. You're deceiving yourself by just hearing. That's a good idea. And I've done it. Go to the conference, hear the great thing. Hear the coach, read the book. That was awesome. It was amazing. But what else? No, take action on what I just learned. And I was just looking at. I just ran through one of my journals or notebooks, whatever it is, and I've gone to the next one. And I could look back probably. There's acres of diamonds sitting in those notebooks that I haven't gone back to study. And I was just thinking about that this morning. That I kept saying, I'm gonna do this plan. Like on Sunday morning, I usually do more spiritual reading and things of that sort, study in the Bible. But there's an element in that where I need to review the week of my notes. Go back and just highlight the week. And I haven't done this consistently for any amount of time. So I'm just saying it, I'm just putting it out there. But I know I would do much better to go back and review my week. What are the things that I went over? What did I learn? How can I implement this right now to be more impactful, to bring more income, to bring whatever it is, to make things easy for the next week? And so that's a system you can deploy. I know it works for other folks, and having a system each week of doing a weekly review. And I've done it off and on, but this one specifically, I was led to think about that again as I was going to this other notebook. Like how many gems, how many diamonds are sitting in this daggone notebook that have not been deployed yet? So,
and maybe some of the listeners have heard me be a little hard on myself a little bit during this.
Yeah,
it's a muscle. Oh, thanks, Calvin.
Get some love, George.
But it's a muscle, right? Like some of these things that we get going through, it's not discouraging. It becomes exciting because you keep seeing the growth that you've had.
Right.
And if you don't look back at it, you don't mind that gap to see where you were to now see where you are, you'll just keep beating yourself up.
Yep.
Right.
So it's funny you say that, because the microphone is elevated by several books, and 2 of these are Dr. Benjamin Hardy's books. So he's been on a partner's call with us. He's friends with Brian and Carrie. I'll buy every one of Dr. Benjamin Hardy's books, and of course, the one here is The Gap in the Game. And he talks about that, like, are you living in the gap or are you living in the game? The simple version of it is, say your goal is to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, and you lose 18 and a half pounds in those 6 weeks. Being in the gap says, I can't believe I didn't lose the 20 pounds. I'm such an idiot. I should be able to do better than this. What the heck is wrong with me that I didn't lose these 20 pounds? That is being in the gap. All you're doing is paying attention to what you haven't done yet. You're giving yourself a hard time because you're looking at the lack. The abundant mindset or the gain mindset is like, man, I'm celebrating these 18 and a half pounds. I'm 18 and a half pounds lighter than I was before. I've done so great. Look how close I am to my goal. I'm right there. I'm just going to knock it out, very soon. I'm going to finish that, but I've done so well. And we talk about being hard on yourself. There's a part of that we need to be able to study ourselves and pay attention to what's going on. That's that self-awareness. And it's not, and you don't want to move into a self-judgment thing, but it's awareness. Now, what do I do with this awareness, and how do I adapt? Part of the 4 A's that we teach too as well is, how do I adapt in this particular situation itself? So there's an element of, am I in the gap or in the game? And I've taught this over the years too as well. But exactly what you're saying there is like, I have awareness and recognize it, but also I'm not so prideful and arrogant to say, oh, well, I know what I'm doing. No, especially if you have friends and people that love you and care for you, or you paid money to coach you. It's like, let me pay attention. Let me pay attention. I'm so close to this thing that I can't see it. And that's why it's good to have, iron sharpeners and friends. Joe and I, we coach each other at times. We have discussions about life and business and things of that sort, because you cannot see the label from inside of the jar. You can't see it. Somebody else has to see it.
Yep, absolutely. And that's where the neuro aspect of it comes in big, right? Like a lot of the times we don't even realize a higher order system of our neuro training. So the nervous system, the interoception, the proprioception, the vestibular, our respiratory systems, our vision, vestibular. I guess I said vision twice, but it's really important. It's the top one.
Yeah.
eyes are going right in there. So it's a big deal. And if we're doing types of trainings or we're having certain even feelings and emotions, right? Like how that training impacts us for feeling safety is just so big.
Yeah.
Right. And even for myself, that I started to have bigger gains in my own life when I started to realize that my amygdala was stuck on fire.
Yeah. But going into that, so I've got the basic training that we had as far as in the neurology of coaching and the neurology of the body, understanding those things. Joe went and got masterful in it, so he's gotten further along the way with it. But you talk about neurology, and some people may not understand what does that look like. But when you're talking about, we talk about neural tags. We talk about what are those kind of things and how they hinder us. Can you explain like how the neurology can affect us, like blocking our vision of our goal, blocking the clarity, or blocking the movement? Because we may thinking, I need to lose weight and I just need to eat right, and I need to, I need to eat right, and then I need to exercise, or I'm building a business, but I just need to do these things. But there's something that keeps blocking us. And so one of the things we talk about that is not just a limiting belief, but also there's a neurology that takes place that can neurotag and that can slow us down too as well. Can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah.
In simple terms.
we have these cycles that we go through. So if we keep bumping into this thing that we're struggling with, and we keep bumping into it, and we keep bumping into it, there's something that's going on.
Yeah.
Right. And it could be emotional around even the eating cycles. I mean, that gets commonly discussed a lot, right? Like emotional eating. So there's just, you see certain individuals and they're so stuck in fight or flight, and they want to do things. They're going to show up. They're going to do all of this stuff. They've got these big dreams. They've got these big goals. But you just keep watching them ram their head against the wall, right? And there's something deeper going on within their neurology in terms of how their brain pattern, it's the blood flow, of how it's just all so different. Like everybody's so unique because our entire brains are built upon our experiences, just like our mindset.
Yeah.
The perceptions that we're going to have is just, what did we experience growing up, and what was that like? So every little bit of movement that someone has done is going to be different than somebody who sat there and big readers or drivers all the time. Like they're using their eyes more in a different manner than other different types of professionals. So a woman in the neurology mentorship, she grew up flying with her dad on small engine planes. So from the moment she was 11 months old, she was going the big drops in the small engine, the heights and all these different, like you're going to grow up with a different vestibular system.
Yeah.
How the blood flows through her brain is going to be different than other people's because most people don't have that experience. Right. So finding that clarity and unlocking it, changing the nutrition. Sometimes you can't even change your nutrition because your neurology is stuck in a certain spot. Right. So, but again, like if you don't have the right mindset, which was our last discussion, you're not going to make any of these decisions. You're not going to start to see the awareness for these things. You're not going to make the decision that you want to have a better life.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll want it.
Yeah, but there's something that's sticking in the way. And we're kind of talking about a friend that came up and is like, certain things we can see in a person. We can tell by the way they perform, the way they show up, where their language goes. And if it's all about, oh my gosh, this is horrible, this is bad, this is that, and you can see those things are going on. It's like from the surface you think it's just that, but there's other things going on underneath there. And so we were kind of talking about that. That this person was going to really struggle to get out of life what they're looking for because of this heightened awareness, heightness of neurology and heightness of emotional, just the emotion is so high. So these things are the tags. Like we look at, as you talk about the emotion side, most of us know what to eat. Okay, it's usually not an issue. Apple or Doritos? I wonder which one is going to be better for me, Apple or Doritos. We typically know what it is, but there's an emotional attachment. There may be, that was the last snack you had with your dad who died of cancer. It may have been something about that Dorito that somebody called you. You said your shirt looked like a Dorito, and now there's trauma there. I mean, anything. You look like an apple. Whatever it may be, there's certain things that we've attached emotions and we've attached our neurology to it. You may have in it, like Joe was saying, you may have been in a certain position, or things could have happened on your left side, getting a car accident, and that car came from that side, and you remember seeing the car come from that side and hit your car, and you got a terrible accident from that point. There's some things where somebody approaches you maybe with the same color shirt on that car was, that you don't even recognize it. You don't know, but it's coming at you, and you have, what some people would call it PTSD, whatever it is. But there's a neurology and attachment to that you may have to work through. And like you said, there may be lens, there's some eye work, there's some things, that Joe does that can kind of help somebody through those things.
I mean, that's what PTSD really. I mean,
Right.
Complex PTSD, all the different traumas.
Dan's in the house. Shout out to you, brother. What's going on? Yes, you talking about mindset mastery. Dan, I don't know if you're going to be there later on today, but you'll get to meet Joe in person if you're going to the luncheon today. I think that's where we're heading today. So sorry. I didn't see my boy Dan.
Yeah, so each of those different aspects where people struggle in life, and then there's some sort of judgment that's put towards them, whether they're ending up in therapy or it's way 10 times more complex than like that. There's a neural component of safety that's taking place.
Yeah.
Even within relationships. This was a really, really hard one for me to grasp and understand, and even realize about myself, with my own situation, of my own being blown out myself, right? Like, if there's two people in two nervous systems, and you've got one that's blown out, especially when you have a feminine energy, she's going to pick up the masculine is not safe. And it has nothing to do with what he's saying or anything else. It's just the feeling of what's going on.
Right.
And the feminine will recognize it. And then vice versa. Like, it can just be not self-serving for one another. Yes.
Yeah, it is. And they said there's so many different things that we're a whole person. And so many times we try to treat one thing or look at one thing, or what's traditionally looked at in Western medicine. And there's some simple things that you can do to intervene, to change and change those things if you start doing it in a different way.
For people who struggle with digestion,
yeah,
you can't, if your neurology doesn't allow for rest and digest, then how do you properly digest? You might be eating all of the right things. You're like, I'm taking the supplements, I'm eating the things. Why can I not lose weight? I'm working out, I'm doing all the things. What's going on? Well, you're not hitting rest and digest.
Yeah.
Or there's another level of neurology that's off. So it's powerful stuff for sure.
It is. And for me, it has been a digestion thing. So I had to go real deeper in making sure my blood work, my hormone levels, my gut health, all those are two things I started tackling and working with an integrative health specialist locally here in Vernon to get those things under wraps. I don't ever struggle with training hard. That's not a problem for mine. My nutrition is typically pretty good, but I just found out that I'm gluten and I can't tolerate gluten. Now, this is something that should have been found out years ago. But real talk, I thought like being allergic or sensitive to gluten was for skinny white people. I really didn't. I didn't think that was a thing that would really happen to me. But here I am, and it's probably should have been something that was covered a long time ago. So we have things that are just sitting around, and that we may have mindsets that block that this is not. Once again, that's not for me. That wouldn't have been. There's no way I don't have a problem. But I've had digestion problems since high school. Real talk. I've had that since there, but now we finally here at age 48, finally really taking advantage of those particular things. And we've had, gut health discussions. I got Joe right here. And other folks that are integrative wellness inside of there. But sometimes we got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired. We've got to stop being okay with being just okay. If I know I'm called to greatness, then this temple is what carries the greatness. If my mind, if I can't focus right, my digestion is off, my sleep is off, all these things, some of us are just used to fighting through that. And you talked about, there's feminine and masculine energy, but even there's differences even with men and women. Just for instance, last night I did my wife and I both did. She did a woman's call. I did a men's call. She had a lot more people on her call than men because it was about accountability and things of that sort. And guys like to hide. We like to hide, and we like to stuff those emotions down and just deal with it. And, big boys don't cry. So we have all these kind of mindsets and philosophies that deal with it. So just curious to know, when it comes down to vision, it comes down to clarity, when it comes down to even neurology and health, what are you seeing as far as men? Because most of my folks here are men. What is it that you see that have been different, that maybe something to raise awareness that men struggle with more so than the women?
Probably admitting they just want help.
Step one.
Yeah, like
we don't get this. We don't get to step one.
I mean, there's so many men that I have met over the years of going to events that come to an event, that step into a circle with other men, and had no idea that men could give them this kind of impact.
Yeah,
and I see it over and over again. Like, it blows my mind. I hadn't until recently really sought out specific types of men groups, but at the same time, like, you put a circle of men outside, and things just happen differently. Even though it's a co-ed group that's commingling, and you get a little circle of men, and men just do men things. And men need that, and women need that, right? Like, men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah.
Mars on ice, Venus on fire, I think is the title of his other book. Yeah. And it's that same thing. Like, women need the oxytocin of communicating with one another, and women get mad because men are sitting in the living room vegging out, and they're doing all the things. The women
the
are
nothing
doing all
box.
The things.
We talk about the nothing box. Men could be just literally, what you think about? Nothing. And it's really nothing.
But if men don't get that, their testosterone doesn't rebuild. Like, I like my testosterone.
I like it to be high.
Most of men like theirs.
You should want your testosterone to be high for all kind of reasons. Just saying.
And the ladies should want our testosterone to be high too.
That part.
So when you recognize that the man is just chilling out, sometimes you got to let him chill out. And if you want him to talk to you more, you might need to talk to some female friends more.
Yes. That's real talk. Like, we don't have that many words. Y'all have a multiplicity of words. We don't have that many words to describe a thing and getting all the details. It's just not in us to do that. But like you said, like, you're in a men's group with Jesse right now, and there's certain things this element that's different from a retreat with mixed. You know, we've been together at all different retreats and things like that with mixed multitude of men and women together, and it's different with just the guys. When we hang out, our conversation is going to be different from conversation with my wife, and, you know, different those kind of things. And it's something I realized, you know, early on, even before Lionheart, doing More Than Conquerors, men's challenges and things like that. Guys needed a place for just guys to be guys, and some guys are discovering, like, wait, it's okay to share your heart. You know, I have this, I call it courageous vulnerability. It's okay to share your heart. Some guys are shedding tears. Some guys are like, man, I never seen dudes like this. Yeah. And it was so comforting. I realized so much that you need a safe space for, like, men need a safe space to be a community.
We held a man up, just picked him up, held him up, and he was like, okay, I feel arm shaking. You can put me down. And Jesse recognized it. So, you know, all right, let's get some of the bigger guys, everybody else around. Let's lift this man up. And when we lifting him up again with more bigger guys around, when he settled in to feel supported, when he felt that support of all of the men putting their attention on holding this big guy up, he just let it go. Ooh. Like, the tears flowed.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, you just don't think of men like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he just, like, the stories that he had told his whole life, being a big guy and supporting other people and all of these things, and now all of a sudden he's got a bunch of men holding him above their head, above the ground.
Yo, that's so powerful. That's real. Like, it's shaky. No, especially most of us who are called, like, you know, we're really ambitious, really high achievers. We're always the one holding everyone else up. And can you actually humble yourself enough to let someone else hold you up? Can you, like I said, step one, I need help.
I need help, and then do you ask for it? Yeah. Like, you might recognize you need help.
True that.
But will you ask for it?
Yeah. How long does it take for you to ask for it? You know, can you ask before you get into what I call the pit of despair, where it's, you know, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, you know, all these things we're talking about. This is, you know, Men's Mental Health Month as well. Gets taken by another celebration of a month versus what it really should be focusing on men's health, but we're gonna leave it at that. But yeah,
we're focused on
focusing on men's health. That's what we're focused on, men's mental health and things of that sort. So, but yeah, it is a part, like, can I say, do I have to wait till I get rock bottom before I ask for help? But you can see the descent into the pit. Or you should having that awareness instead of just ignoring it. I'll do it later. I'll fix it later. It's not that bad. You know, we tell ourselves all these stories, and of course, you know, the story you tell is the truth. You know, the life you live. We talk about that in mindset. It's but where is that at? Where does it look like? What a hard charging person can allow someone to lift them up? lift them up in coaching, lift them up in therapy, lift them up in accountability, lift them up in just a conversation. And this guy, once again, there's subconscious things going on with him about his weight, and I don't want to be dropped. Does he have fear of being dropped from the crew, dropped from society, dropped from, from work, dropped from the rise of his business or whatever it may be? And there's so many different things that the analogies, we can see it, so many different things along with that. It's like, okay, but now there's more people. How can I just let go and be carried and be ministered to be loved on, to be supported? And of course, many, like I said, most guys, not only, okay, I got the awareness now, but what now? What do I do?
Right.
Dude, that's crazy.
That's crazy. But the thing is guys will sit at home and they'll watch a video like this, and they'll be on YouTube, and they'll be all alone, and they won't think jack about it.
Yep.
Until you get two crazy dudes that are like, hey, reach out, have a conversation, if not with one of us, with a friend.
Yes.
Like, don't just keep going to your man cave. Like, connect with men.
Right. And that's, so with that even being said, as you guys know, I do coach men, and my philosophy is that most men don't have business problems. They have personal problems that show up in their business. It is so true. It's usually not the P&Ls. It's what's going on the backside. It's your mindset. It's your emotional resiliency. It's all those things. And like Joe said, the neurology, if there's gut health, if there's some hormonal things, all these things are part of, you're like, why am I not doing blank? Why am I not getting the results that I'm looking for? And these are the things that are these, some people call like soft skills, or these things that are bigger than, they're cumulative, and they're bigger than sometimes the big thing that you're looking at. And so, but you're not addressing them. They're on the backside of things too as well. So hopefully this was helpful. Joe, if folks want to get in touch with you and find out more about neurology and gut and getting their leveled up life, what does that look like?
Neuroassurance.com is where I've got a spine and posture program that I did with our mutual friend, Dr. Ryan Wolfert.
Yep.
It's just kind of, you can go through it yourself. You can assess and reassess and see which neuro drills are good for you. And it's geared towards optimum spine health. So there's pieces of the program that are missing in it for if it's an anxiety issue, or if there's, more trauma that's involved in what's going on. But if you want to dial in and keep your spine strong and straight, so you don't kind of go into this thing.
Yeah.
That's a vision thing. Like, are you looking down? Are you bending over? Do you feel safe to walk, or do you need to see what's right in front of you? So that's kind of what that program's geared around. But otherwise, the best place is Facebook. I'm on, so I feel like most social medias, you'll probably find me. But Facebook is my home ground.
Yeah, and I know it's in the show notes and all that kind of stuff. But how do you spell that crazy last name? That I'm always going back and forth. Did I put the two F's in the right place? Did I put the? Yeah,
it's Stauffacher.
Yeah,
Stauffacher.
Word. And I'll put in the show notes too as well, the site to be able to go to that program that you're talking about as well too. So, yeah, appreciate it, dude. Good conversation. Hopefully it's been helpful for you guys. Like I said, connect with Joe, connect with me. If these are things that you're struggling with on the back end, and these are the things that may be affecting your business, your life. These are things we want you to be an integrative person that is successful in all these areas of your life, doing exactly what God's calling you to do at a high level, not settling for complacency, not settling for mediocre, but going for the greatness that God has placed inside of you. And it's not simple. There's puzzle pieces that are all around, but we can put, the more puzzle pieces we put together, the more masterful you'll be at living out that vision, walking in that identity, and being awesome like Joe. So, all right, y'all. God bless. Go hard. Peace.